All right, on to some breaking news coming in this minute. Reports saying the US delegation is planning to ask Iran to release Americans detained in the country. That's the big development coming in. The Washington Post saying that the US is going to ask Iran to free Americans detained in the country. It cited sources familiar with the plans for the upcoming negotiations to be held in Pakistan. Remember those crucial talks that are to take place. The report also saying that there are at least 6 US citizens in Iranian custody. At least 2 Iranian-American dual nationals are being held in Evin prison in Tehran. The report also saying that the US could ask Iran to release the 6 US citizens, which could also serve as a quote, no cost off ramp and a goodwill gesture, quote unquote. Advocates for the detained Americans believe this will be a relatively easy demand, reportedly, as compared to more sensitive issues like Iran's demand to be allowed to keep enriching uranium, also the governance of the Strait of Hormuz, reportedly. So that's the big development coming in right now, ahead of those crucial talks that are going to be taking place in Pakistan. And as we continue to keep a close eye on the latest coming in ahead of those talks and overall the situation in the region, with us from Dubai this moment is Mohammad Baharoon. He's the Director General of the Dubai Public Policy Research Center. Thanks very much for being here. I have to first begin by asking you for your assessment of where things stand right now. Of course, highly anticipated talks that are to take place, but key sticking issues remain at this point.
Good evening to you and your viewers. Thank you very much for having me on the program. I think right now there is a huge deal of ambiguity. That ambiguity is possibly designed to protect those talks. However, they're also a source of anxiety for people who are watching the talks right now. Part of this ambiguity has to do with what are the basis of the deals. There has been 10 points released by Iran, which the US has said that these are not the 10 points that we have discussed and agreed upon. So it's not quite clear what type of areas that are going to be discussed. The other area is the state of Hormuz. What is going to be the case with the state of Hormuz? This idea that Iran will be charging passing fee is a huge issue for a lot of people in the region. President Trump at a certain point said he will not accept that, but also in other occasions says that the US and Iran might be overseeing that. For many people in the region, that is a quite worrisome area. However, all of these are talks before the negotiations, and they're part of push and pull. And it wouldn't be quite obvious until some statement comes out of those negotiations.
Indeed, like you said, a lot of question marks right now and several layers to the ambiguity that you're referring to as well. I'll also have to ask you to give us a sense of, the impact that this war has already had on the GCC countries. What are your immediate expectations as far as the talks are concerned? And give us a sense of how the developments so far are being viewed.
Well, frankly, our relationship with Iran was a relationship with akin of something like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We had good relationship with Iran economically. We had bad relationship with Iran on the security aspect. There are times when the security aspect took precedence in our relationship, and there are times cooperation on economic issues came. This war seems to have fortified that we are dealing right now only with Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll is not to be seen anymore. And whether this is a permanent issue or not, I'm not quite sure. But over the last 5 years since COVID, we have invested a lot in changing the dynamics with Iran. basing it on a dynamic of cooperation, based it on global connectivity, the idea that despite differences, political differences, there will continue to be cooperation, and that cooperation will have an impact on the world as a whole, on the world energy security, on the world health security, on the world food security. And that was the basis of our dealing. We found that Iran took that exact area of cooperation and weaponized it by blocking the Strait of Hormuz and affecting people in India, affecting people in South Korea, affecting people in Brazil and Slovenia and others. So that was for us a major issue. And I think this is going to be a huge assessment after this. I'm not quite sure we will have a very quick knee-jerk reaction to this, but it will be part of our assessment.